Hello, my name's Jillian Hess. I'm the Public Relations and Outreach Manager at Union Station Redevelopment Corporation, and I'm here today with Kay Chernush, the founder and director of Artworks for Freedom, and she has brought an exhibit into Union Station, and today she's going to talk a bit about that. But first, Kay, tell us a bit about your nonprofit, Artworks for Freedom.
Thank you so much for having me and for hosting this amazing exhibit of ours. Artworks for Freedom is a really unique nonprofit. We use the power of all forms of artistic expression to fight human trafficking and modern slavery. The purpose is to raise awareness about this global and local scourge, human rights atrocity. And we use the power of art to raise awareness because we think that raising awareness is the critical first step in preventing human trafficking from happening in the first place. So we want people to be aware of it and to take creative actions to fight it. So it's an alliance of artist activists who really care about this issue, who feel passionate, and who use their own creative energy, their creative imagination, and their different disciplines to address this issue. It's a social issue, it's a dark issue that most people don't want to know about. We can tell a really authentic story about human trafficking, and we believe that we can amplify the voices of survivors of trafficking and tell their authentic story. So we want people to be inspired by this artwork and to reevaluate how they think about it and the actions that they can take in their own lives to help fight it. So this exhibit is called What You See Is Not Who I Am. And I approached a group in New York. They are called Groundswell Community Mural Project. They do basically murals on walls in Brooklyn and Queens, New York. And they had a after-school program for 17 and 18-year-old artist apprentices. And I approached them, and they were very excited about partnering with us. And the kids did research. They researched not only sex trafficking, they researched forced labor and domestic servitude, abusive domestic servitude, as well as forced agricultural exploitation. And they started from a point of view of not knowing anything really about human trafficking, about having some very cliched ideas, but once they started reading and interviewing people and gathering information, they soon came to see it very differently. This first set of 3 panels is about sex exploitation, and they learned that in their own city of New York, that trafficking is very much a problem. So here you can see how creative they were, separating out different aspects of what a victim of sex trafficking, commercial sex exploitation goes through: fear and silence, coercion and force. They are manipulated and dehumanized, and then of course it's all enforced with violence and pain. So there's a good amount of grooming that goes on, and people have to be aware of, especially young people should be aware of the grooming that goes on online now in these times of COVID. And the more you learn about it, the more prepared you are to protect yourself, but also to protect the friends around you, the friends and colleagues, and to take action that will help end this atrocity. The students were extremely creative, and they worked together in tandem. They started out with word associations, and then they started everyone made designs, and then the designs were voted on and accepted, and the painting of the panels took place together. It was very much a team effort. And we wanted to express the hopefulness, the resilience of survivors of human trafficking, and to give out this national human trafficking hotline phone number, which is 1-888-373-7888. The back of the panels have general information about trafficking, but also some of the reactions of the students who actually created this art. And one of my favorite expressions was from Maybelline Amaya, who said that creating this mural was one of the enlightening moments of her life, and she was able to see the power of art to transform misconceptions, to transform ultimately behaviors. And so that was very powerful to her. The next set of panels depict abusive domestic servitude and labor exploitation. And this is another form of trafficking. A common misconception is that people often think when you say human trafficking, it only involves sex exploitation. But that's not the case. Trafficking impacts many, many different industries in our country and abroad. Everything from domestic servitude in private homes to elder care, nail salons, the construction industry, landscaping, hospitality industry, restaurants, in the back of the oftentimes in the kitchens. So people are trafficked into the U.S., or Americans are trafficked throughout the U.S. and get ensnared in exploitative labor situations, and they can't escape. They start incurring debt. They aren't paid as they have been promised, and that debt then explodes, and so they cannot get free. So here we have labor in your neighbors' homes. They're making your clothing. They're processing the food you eat. There are many different forms of labor trafficking, and that is one of the areas where we as consumers can have the biggest impact by not purchasing the $5 a pound shrimp, because we know it's been harvested by slaves in Southeast Asia, by not buying the shirt or the blouse that is so dirt cheap that it makes more sense for you to throw it out after wearing it in the mode of fast fashion, because that was made by slaves in Bangladesh or in Vietnam or in Cambodia. So there are many ways that we can be informed consumers and buy things that are not tainted with slave labor. The next panel is, these are all on labor exploitation. So they have, trafficked individuals have no rights, basically. It's all under the radar, and it's a hugely profitable criminal enterprise. $150 billion profits a year estimated, and there's high profits and very low penalties there. Very few convictions for trafficking.
You can see on this one panel on the left it says, "My rights washed away." It's very powerful. And again,
emphasizing the resilience of victims and survivors, their courage and their optimism and their possibilities for for getting free, for renewing their lives and becoming productive citizens and productive contributors to society at large. One thing with human trafficking, that modern slavery, is that this happens for a period of time, but it's not necessarily a lifetime. But it's not a lifetime sentence, and so survivors of trafficking need support and need people to take action to help them repair their lives, to reintegrate, to reinvent themselves and become, fully participating, contributing members of society. So there are many things that people can do. Please check out artworksforfreedom.org and get involved. We also have a website called 30 Actions, 30 Days, that gives you a whole range of actions that everyone can take. There are many ways that everyone can contribute, and it takes everyone to, if we're going to make a dent and really disrupt and interrupt this human rights abuse. Here we have a comment by the lead artist, Nicole Shulman. She was in charge of and led this group of very independent-minded young artists. And in the back we have some information about what it's like. So, for example, job opportunity in America is a kind of an outlandish job offer, and the punchline there is, would you answer this ad? With so many bad things happening involved in this job offer, would you answer this ad? Would you work for no days off a week? Would you work for less than a minimum wage, etc.? So a lot of times when people get ensnared in trafficking situations, they have no power over their own choices, and they're really kept down by false promises, betrayals, and violence when necessary. So this last set of panels addresses the issue of forced agricultural labor, migrant labor, exploitation of migrant workers who are putting food on our plates. So the students, again, researched this, and they started really thinking about what it means to harvest, to be in the fields for 11, 12, 13 hours a day, to have to pay extra to go to the bathroom, to have to pay extra once a week to get a shower. What happens when they've signed up with a contract that promises them a certain amount of money per hour or per day, and then the agent, the hiring agent, says, "Sorry, there's not enough work. No, we can't pay you that much," and arbitrarily reduces the amount of money that they make. Sometimes the wage is withheld entirely, and they have no recourse because oftentimes they don't have papers, and they're here on contracts that stipulate they work for a specific employer. If they want to look elsewhere for a job, if they feel they're being mistreated and look elsewhere, they cannot do that. They are liable to be deported. So there's a very difficult relationship, and hopefully that we will begin having solutions to that with better laws, more citizen activism, taking up this cause and advocating for these workers.
This is a particularly powerful one here with the chains in the fields.
Yes. A lot of times the workers are really they're beholden to a particular boss man, and they are in fact chained to that particular field. They harvest, it's very hot, there are chemicals involved, the conditions are difficult, and the students thought this was a wonderful, a powerful way to express that lack of choice for the workers. At the end of the day, people want respect, they want dignity, they want their work to be respected and properly compensated for.
Of course.
And again, the National Human Trafficking Hotline number, 1-888-373-788.
Some information about the people involved in the process here and the Groundswell project.
And Raymond Reyes, who was very moved in making this, working on these various panels. He talks a little bit about how they try to avoid cliches, and he was particularly moved by the panel with the chains emerging from the bushes.
Well, that is fabulous, Kay. It's a deeply troubling topic, but the presentation that you have here in Union Station is great. And this is not the first time you've had an exhibit in Union Station, is it?
It's not. We were really honored to have my constructed photographic series here in 2018. That collection of images was called Bought and Sold, Voices of Human Trafficking. And we had it in the same space. There were very large photographic images with survivor narratives.
Okay, it's always a pleasure to work with you, Union Station and Union Station Redevelopment Corporation. This is a very important topic, and we are very interested in raising awareness as much as we can, so we appreciate working with you and collaborating with you.
We really appreciate working with Union Station and the attention that Union Station gives to the issue of human trafficking. We know that train stations, airports can be major hubs for trafficking, and so the fact that Union Station has taken up this cause and training its workers and helping to train the traveling public to be aware of this is very important, and so we're honored to be here, and thank you for that opportunity.